Well, it's a very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on Tuesday night. I know it will be back to normal soon, I promise you. I've been away and all that sort of stuff, and it's not been easy to sort of do regular Monday nights. But I'm back. I hope you're well. I've been on holiday, of course, and I've missed a couple of games, and I'm pretty peeved, I guess. Well, not so peeved for missing the Wolves game during the week and out of the Carabao Cup, but certainly peeved at the fact that I missed the game against Nottingham Forest at the weekend. And what a good result that was. And I'm going to talk about that later on in the show. I'm also going to talk about the transfer window. Now that it's finally out of the way and we can actually get on with what's going on the football pitch rather than off it, well, as best as we possibly can, I'm going to review the transfer window and give you my thoughts on what I think on the business that we've done and whether I think it's been good, bad, or indifferent. And of course, I'm sure you're going to have your own views on the transfer window as well. So I'll get onto that later on too. But the usual, for those of you who watch the West Ham Weekly on a regular basis, you know I'm going to do a roundup of all the news related to West Ham too. So I'm going to get onto that as well. But the first thing I'm going to do is say hello to you lot, because it's been a while since we've had a chat, isn't it? Foxes, good evening to you. My expectations are now to play a different system, 4-4-2 or 4-3-3, and push on. I'm hoping Potter will dig in and play defensive as and not play defensive as I expect he will, or play defensive. I just got that feeling against Spurs he'll go with 5 at the back. I think that's quite interesting, Foxes, because I'm of the same opinion. I want us now to sort of move on from this, and it's been demonstrated. I think now we've got the players to show that we don't have to play a 5 at the back. Maybe he thought with the players that he had before the recent transfers that maybe he just didn't have the strength in the middle of the park to favour a 4 at the back. I don't know. Foxes again. And what changes the Forest? And what changed the Forest game was Fernandez getting cramp. I think what changed it was Somerville coming on. Did Somerville come on for Fernandez? I thought he came on for Ward-Prowse. I don't know. Graham, good evening, mate. Not from Canada, as you messaged earlier, from Spain. I hope you're having a great vacation there, mate. What a great result. What a dirty bunch they are. Good evening to you, Anthony. I hope you're having a great time in Spain, mate. I would have liked us to hijack Harvey Elliott's loan move to Aston Villa, then Igor to Palace. Yeah, I know, but perhaps I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at the squad. Perhaps Potter now believes he's got what he needs. Stephen, good evening to you. It was great. It was lovely. Thank you very much. Good evening to you, Epic. I hope you're well. I feel like we were one good signing away from having a decent window. Well, when I go through it, tell me what you think after I've gone through it. Stephen, good business for West Ham coming late to sign a defender on transfer deadline day, and a good win for West Ham with the 3-0 over Forest to get the 3 points. First win of the new system. It was fantastic indeed. I think you're unusual. I think I was on time. Who else have we got here? Daniela, good evening to you. What a victory on Sunday and beating a bogey team as well. So well done. Yuha, good evening, mate. I hope you're very well. Anthony, what does Potts have to do to start a game? Quite a lot. And I think I'm going to, when I go through the squad later on, when I do the transfer review and I look at the squad as well, you tell me how Potts is going to fit in. Let's see who else is here. Harry, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Good evening to you too, Michael. The players he now has should be a 4-2-3-1, and Ward-Prowse should never get in the starting 11. My thinking is pretty much the same. I think we now have a squad good enough to play 4 at the back with a 2-3-1 or 3-3 or whatever in the middle of the park. I kind of agree with you. CC, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Michael, our youth have taken a step down the ladder with the young new signings. Hope they actually get a chance this season. It's going to be really interesting to see how we use the youth. Now, one thing that Potter's already been accused of is because he hasn't used our youth players, he's been suggested that he doesn't trust in the youth. Well, he's signed a couple of 21-year-olds and he signed a 20-year-old. Maybe he does trust in the youth. Maybe he doesn't think our youth is good enough. Josh, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. This club will give me a heart attack. Who? Yeah, agreed. The joy I felt watching us win and the win, well, in the end was so good. And I'm looking forward to us playing again. Hopefully, no regressing. Absolutely agree. Aaron, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. CC, you won a 4-2-3-1. Daniela, great win at Forest, but some of their fans are delusional. One good season, they think they're a top 4 side that shouldn't be losing to little old West Ham. Hope they get a beating in Europe. That would be a wake-up call. James, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. 3.5 minutes late. Your watch is fast, mate. Good evening to you. I hope you're well. Phil, good evening, mate. Let's be positive. Fed up with the negativity. Absolutely. This tonight is a positive show, apart from the negative stuff that I might mention. I hope you're well, Phil. As Romano says, here we go. Well, he made a few mistakes this time round when it came to West Ham, didn't he? Romano has been so wrong so many times about West Ham lately. I'd be dumping the people that are giving him the information because they're getting it quite wrong, aren't they? John, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. I did indeed. Thank you, mate. Good win with a new midfield and Jimmy getting back to full fitness. Things are looking up. Crescencio, I said it. When he's back, hopefully he'll be good enough to forget about that player that went to Tottenham. Toha, and we'll find out in a few weeks. Good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Isaac Stelios, Imepo Lagalife. Hadiston, Nikki. I hope you're well, and thank you for joining, mate. Aaron, Romano and other ITKs are ruining the transfer window, taking all the fun out of it. You know, there is one solution to that, is don't go on social media throughout the transfer window. But we know we can't resist, don't we? Unfortunately, we can't. Gary, I hope you're well, mate. I haven't seen you in a while. Feels like it's been ages. Have you tried Tabasco on scrambled egg yet? No. Why would I? Toha, happy to have your daughter back, Harry. Hope she enjoys her time with her mum. Absolutely. Talking to each other. Darren, evening still, and everyone buzzing. Hope the side that finished in the one is the one that starts. I've got a few changes with the addition of Magassa. That means there's 12 players on the pitch. So who are you dropping, Darren? Mark, good evening, mate. Welcome back. Raise a glass. What a win. Absolutely fantastic it was. Gary, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Skeptic. He won't go with 5 at the back. I hope not. There may be games where he might feel he has to, but I hope I hope he doesn't just do it for the sake of it. I agree. Harry, yeah, we went for dinner. Great, mate. Good to have your daughter there, mate. I hope you're having a good time. Josh, Fernandez's willingness to get forward to win the ball back was impressive. Somerville was great. I genuinely was impressed by Wilson. Me too, Mr. McLaren. How are you? The only one that we missed out on was Cresswell, but I think it was a fair transfer window. I'm just not sure about Cresswell, to be honest with you. I know people were kicking off that we didn't sign Cresswell because we're apparently a few million short, but I'm not so sure. I think he's one for the future, but I guess we kind of needed one for the here and now. So I kind of look, Igor, I think was the third choice, wasn't he? I think we bid for Cresswell. We didn't get him. I think we went for Disasi at Chelsea. He didn't want to come to us. I don't want a player that doesn't want to come to us anymore. If they want to play for West Ham, absolutely fine. If they're umming and ahhing and they don't want to come to us, then forget about it. And then, of course, we got Igor. 6, 7 for me. This window was never going to solve all our problems. 6 out of 7, is that? Or 7 out of 10? Or 6 out of 10? No, I agree with you. This window was never going to solve every single problem we've got. It would have been impossible to. Harry, it's hard to remember that at times when you're focused on her well-being and doing all my Todd. It's tough to be. I think you're still talking about it. Great, mate. Sorry, I got to move. I'm going to try and do a quick show tonight. Septic, squad is now stronger, younger, and more balanced. I'm quite happy. Good evening, Ray. I hope you're well. Daniela, I have a question about Elliott and how good he really is. Liverpool are happy to let him go. I think Liverpool have got an abundance of talent. So I think they were looking at losing one of their younger players to sort of try and balance their books in some way. Trodge, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Ryan, good evening, mate. Potter has done well to bring the squad age down. Underwhelmed with Igor signing, but I don't see him playing much unless Kilman gets injured. Colin, good evening, mates. Great win. Still think we needed another younger striker. I don't trust Fulkrug and Wilson. We're forgetting Marshall not to get injured through the season, and we'll regret not getting one, but I hope not. James, I'm disappointed with the transfer window. There's just no ambition. If we can up the performances from the weekend, but there'll be injuries and then we're screwed. That's the West Ham way. It's really interesting. You've had someone just saying, I'm really pleased with it, and you're saying really disappointed with it. I genuinely would like to know why you're disappointed. I'd like to know why you're pleased with the window that was mentioned earlier. And James, I'd like to know why you did. What specifically are you disappointed in? Is the quality of the signings, or the money we've spent on them, or not enough players, or whatever it may be? Septic. He'll play the youth if they're good enough. He played Scarles and youth. That's what I think. John, evening to you. Glad we kept Paqueta and Souček. Yeah, I am too. Leslie, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Question. Now we are back to 4 at the back. Will Potter revert to 3 at the back formation? It's possible. I think it's possible. I think you'll look at the teams that we're up against and may well decide to go 3 at the back at times. Gary, tobacco is nice on eggs. Tabasco is not. Tobacco is my preferred breakfast hot sauce. I'm guessing you meant Tabasco. Neil, there is no positive or negative. There is only honesty. Transfer window 5 for me. The Alvarez loan still makes no sense. Still think we're light in depth. Fair point. Dexter. Good evening, Matt. Good evening to you. It was lovely. Thank you. Great result. Great to hear positive chat about the Hammers after our great win and smiles on faces. On to Spurs next, the old enemy. Kudus will know about it for sure. Wouldn't you want Igor to play in that game? Think about it. Huge. Forget whether he can play football or not. I just want him to kick Kudus throughout the game. Don't get a book in. Just make sure that Igor knows that Kudus knows that Igor's on that pitch, is what I mean. Huge. Good evening, mate. Fernandez, Juve and Magassa, good signings. If only Sunderland had bought Creswell and Jew would have pressed for Europe. I don't know. I'm not sure about Creswell. And I swear I don't know enough about Jew to be really informed about him. Dexter, how do you feel the transfers has gone? On your opinion, underwhelmed or satisfactory? Going to get to that in a minute, mate, when I run through your comments and then I run through some of the West Ham news. And then I promise you, bear with me and I will go through what I think a little later on in the show. I feel things could have been better given the players sold, but good to have a couple over the line. Gary, I'm not going to be so harsh on Igor before I've seen him touch a ball. I liked his answer when they asked what kind of player he is. He's aggressive. And boy, oh boy, do we need some aggressive players. We need a bit of a Craig Dawson. I'm kind of banking on Igor to be our new Craig Dawson. Nil. Over the moon, Potter changed formation, but the continued selection of Ward-Prowse was disappointing. 80 minutes of containment football, but how that changed when Somerville came on. Harry, Mr. Naga is the only hot sauce you need. Trodge, good evening to you. I did say good evening. 4 out of 10 window. Undersold Agerd, Kudus, Alvarez, and Emerson for 1 million. He went for Emerson went for $1 million. So you're upset because we haven't sold them for higher prices. Yeah, okay, fair point. Michael, if Potter goes to a back 3, then Bone would be out of position and no room for Somerville. That's a very good point. Good evening to you, Tash. How are you? We are going to beat Tottenham. There you go. Of course we are. We all know we are. Darren, pleased with the window. Gio Fernandez are quality signings. Young signings would drop Ward-Prowse from Magassa. Have read he is described as a tackling machine. He is, because he started life as a central defender. It's really interesting when Magassa was mentioned, because I went, he's a central defender, but apparently he is the sort of player that can play in midfield as well. Trodge, and we got same centre-back as last season. Brighton's 5th choice centre-back apart. Septic. Potter played 3-4-3 at times at Brighton, which worked quite well. That's where Igor might come in. Good point. Yeah, fair. Okay, let's run through. I'm going to really run through fast all the news, and then I'm going to get to the game, and then I'm going to get to transfers. So bear with me. But before I do all that, if any of you are new to the channel, please do consider subscribing to the West Ham Voice. Costs nothing to subscribe. All the content is free. And if you're feeling generous, you can become a member. It costs $1.99 a month to become a member, where you get extra content. And those who are members in the chat, I promise you there's something special coming up later on this week. So I haven't forgotten you. And in order to do that, just click on the West Ham Voice on YouTube and become a member. Right, let's get cracking, shall we? We're going to start with the women's team. Not a lot to say about them because the women's team are preparing for their league campaign coming this Sunday when they're away to Spurs. They had 3 preseason games when they played Sparta Prague away from home, winning 1-0. They then played Liverpool away with another win, this time 3-0. And their most recent friendly was Arsenal away, losing 2-0. I think I got that right. I'm not sure they've won all 3, but I might have written that down incorrectly. Someone's going to correct me anyway. What about the academy players? Well, the under-18. Oh, let's take that off for a second. The under-18 season has been up and running for several weeks now, and it's been a mixed bag of results for them. Within a space of just under 4 weeks, they've already played 7 games, the under-18s, losing 4, drawing 2, and winning just the 1 game. They've played 3 games in the Next Gen Cup, drawing 1-1 against Midtjylland, losing 2-1 away to Slavia Prague, and 4-3 away to Rangers. They lost, sorry. And then they played 1 game in the Premier League Under-18s Cup, which they're holders of, beating Sunderland 3-1 away. And then there have been 3 games in the Under-18s Premier League. They've lost 2 of them against Southampton and Leicester, drawing 1 against Birmingham. So not a great start to the league. The most recent game was the Premier League game at the weekend to Leicester, where they suffered a 3-1 defeat. Next game is after the international break, where they host Spurs on the same day as we host Spurs, the senior team. Now, the under-21s. Now, they had a signing of their own the other day. They brought in young French defender Dimitri Kalau. He signed a 4-year deal with the option of a further year from French club Paris FC. This is the same club that we signed Mahamadou Kante from, and the 2 players know each other quite well. Now, to have signed a 19-year-old who's going to go into our under-21 squad on a 4-year deal seems to suggest that there are quite high hopes for Kalau to make it into the senior squad sooner rather than later. Much the same is thought of Kante at this moment in time. Kalau was captain of the Paris FC under-19s before he was promoted to the senior team in the 23-24 season. However, he's only made 5 appearances overall for the senior team and would have made more had he had injuries not been a factor. Now, he's had surgery, and I don't know. I've tried to find out what surgery it was, but he's had surgery on this injury, and now he's fully fit and ready to go. Of course, we're going to sign a player that's injured. Look, we're wishing all the best. To sign a player on a 4-year deal, like I said, 19-year-old on a 4-year deal who's going straight into the under-21s is quite interesting. So look out for Kante and look out for Kalau over the next season or 2. Certainly not this season, but maybe ready for next season or the season after that. Let's see. Now, the under-21s themselves have had 3 preseason as for the under-21s, they played 4 competitive games so far throughout August. The first was in the National League Cup with an impressive 2-0 win over Woking. That was followed up by 3 Premier League games. The first was a narrow 1-0 home defeat at the hands of Nottingham Forest. The second was a 3-1 away defeat to Man City, but they bounced back last Friday with an impressive 4-2 win, away win against Sunderland. Kante got his 3rd goal of the season, and Josh Landers, in his first full Premier League debut, got a brace. But it was Emeka Adiel, the midfielder, who really caught the eye with an impressive all-round performance, and he also got a goal in that game too. Now, it was an interesting end of the game because Preston Fearon got sent off, but mistakenly so, for an incident that happened, which led to Sunderland getting a penalty, and the referee sent the wrong player off. So I'm sure we're going to appeal for that. Now, some loans, and boy, oh boy, have we got loads of players out on loan. First of all, Lewis Orford has joined League One side Stevenage on a season-long loan. Stevenage are doing well in their current campaign with 5 wins in 6 games. I was half expecting Orford to go out on loan this season. I was half hoping that he would have gone out on loan to a championship team, but it is a League One team. But it's a great opportunity for Lewis Orford now, the 19-year-old, to get regular game time, competitive game time, a bit like Freddie Potts has done and various others as well. And I wish him well. Now, also expected to leave was George Earthy. I kind of predicted this as well. That was Lewis Orford. There's George Earthy. I kind of thought George Earthy would leave as well, but he's resisted any opportunities, not free checks, but reject. He resisted any opportunity to go out on loan because he wants to fight for his place in the senior team. And like people have been saying in the chat, I do wonder how much game time the likes of Earthy, Potts, and maybe Marshall are going to get this season. Now, I've been saying for some time throughout the summer, I expected Orford to go out on loan. I absolutely expected Earthy to go out on loan. But I'm pleased that Earthy wants to fight for his place. I hope it pays off for him. Now, other players that have gone out on loan since the transfer window is shut has been goalkeeper Finley Herrick, who's joined Boreham Wood in the Enterprise National League. 21-year-old Junior Robinson has gone out on loan to Scottish Premier League side Livingston on a season. They've just been promoted to the Scottish Premier League, so we wish them all well. Now, what about players that already started their loan spells? Well, first of all, Mason Terry back out on loan again to another Enterprise National League side, Braintree Town, has been doing exceptionally well. I know they're playing tonight. I don't know what the result is, but tonight will be his 100th senior appearance for whilst he's been out on loan, including AFC Hornchurch, Concord Rangers, and now Braintree as well. So we wish him well. But he's been doing exceptionally well out on loan. In League One, Gideon Kodua has started his fourth game for Luton Town away to Burton Albion at the weekend. And he was deployed as a right wing back and helped Luton to secure a 3-0 win. Staying in the third tier, Michael Forbes featured from the bench for Northampton Town. He played the final 25 minutes as they secured back-to-back wins and clean sheets with a 1-0 win Northampton Town against Leyton Orient. And in the Championship, Caelan Casey is still waiting for his full league debut for Swansea City, and they recorded a 2-0 away win against Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend. And of course, we've got Edson Alvarez out on loan. He played 90 minutes on his debut for Fenerbahce, who won 3-1, and they move up to 5th in the league. Interesting, isn't it, that Mourinho was the one that wanted Alvarez on loan, and then as soon as Alvarez came, Mourinho got sacked. Anyway, right, let's go into your chat, because the next thing I'm going to do is a match review, and then I'm going to do the transfers. So stick with me for that. James, I feel like it's usual to ask Sully if we'd have got a young, hungry striker and a Dawson-like defender, that would have sent a statement. Yeah, I keep my head just goes into overdrive when it comes to all the money situation at West Ham. You just don't know what's true. Yes, we've got to follow PSR, but I think have the board use PSR for their own reasons, not to spend enough money. I don't know. The board, of course, we know could have invested their own money if they wanted to. They got all these loans out. They could have invested some of those loans as well. I just don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's a shame. Trodge. And rely on two strikers who have a history of breaking down. We have got Marshall. Let's see what happens there. Have I missed a few? Done that one, so I know I'm up to date. So Septic. Potter played 3. Yeah, I've done that one as well. Gary, Igor just sounds like a badass name, and don't mess with a guy named Igor. If he does it on the pitch, fine. He could be our Dawson. He could be that sort of player. Joe, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Still not confident in Hermansen on corners, but Igor's presence will protect him. Good shout. Who else have we got here? Michael, 13th of September against the Spuds, many train disruptions. Big demo in London. I know. I'm going to have to bloody walk there to Stratford, ain't I? John, yes, I know Malmster, Skinner's number 2, left the side. He left the club. He did. Should have put that in the news, shouldn't I? John, I hope Marshall and Potts are used as much as possible and not left on the bench. When I go through the team, you tell me what you think. Toha. Stel, is Heggie our player? Yes, he is. He is. And it's interesting that we don't know what's happened to him because he was out on loan last season, but he is our player. Yeah, he's mentioned in the squad. Michael, Kante looks like a man playing against boys in the under-21s. He's still learning. Let's see what happens to him. I think it'll be next season when he comes through, but who knows if he continues to do as well as he does. Leslie Magassa for James Ward-Prowse for the Spuds game. We need that earlier defensive line with a proper central defensive midfielder. Inclined to agree, mate. But you know James Ward-Prowse is going to start. Neil, now we have an Igor. Are we looking for a Frankenstein? Montana. Stel, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. We found our midfield maestro, Fernandes. He comes from Portugal. He's better than Bruno. Is that meant to be a song rhyming? Because I'm not sure I've caught onto it just yet. Thank you, James. Become a member of the channel. If you can, of course, you don't have to, but thank you for doing it. And James, thank you for doing so. Frog, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Hope we've all had a good day. All had a good weekend, haven't we, Frog? Who else have we got? Frog, new geezer looks a bit handy. Igor, we're talking about. Mark, good move to Scotland for Robinson. Wish him well. Really do. I wish all our players out on loan. I wish them all well. Mark, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Disappointed we sold our 70-year-old midfielder Nwosu to Forest yesterday. It was today, which is a bit confusing because, I've got it here and I'm not quite sure what happened because I heard about it earlier on today, sorry. And I asked myself, so it was after the transfer window. It can't happen after the transfer window unless, of course, they lodged whatever it is. They have to lodge a bit of paper before the deadline. But I've got a feeling, look, I remember Nwosu, talked about him last summer, and Nwosu was offered a professional contract when he was 16. He's only just turned 7. He turned 17 in May, day before my birthday, 17th of May, he turned 17. And you can only sign a professional contract when you turn 17, is my thinking. Someone's going to probably tell me I'm wrong, but my thinking is your first professional contract can't be signed until you're 17. So I've got a feeling that perhaps Nwosu didn't sign that professional contract that was on the table last summer. And now Nottingham Forest have come in and snatched him. Now, I asked, has there been a fee for this? And the answer was, yes, there has been a fee for Nwosu. It's small fee, probably won't be a lot, well under $1 million or something like that. But it's a fee nonetheless. And I don't know if you know, I will talk about Paqueta in a minute. Nwosu. Now, I've looked at his stats. He's a good player, but he never played for the under-20. As far as I can see, I don't believe he played for the under-21. So there's a lot of confusion here as to why we've let him go. If he was that highly rated, I'm not sure why we would have let him go. Anyway, yeah, that's the news. And thanks for prompting me there, Mark. Still, do you think we will go back to a back three now? We have Igor coming in. I'm not sure. Hammerette, good evening to you. I hope you're well. I hope we don't, mate. I hope we don't. There may be some games that we do, but I hope, in essence, that we stay with a back four. Mr. Gilby, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. I'm very well. Great win at the weekend. Got to keep the same formation for the Spuds. By the way, Braintree lost 2-1 to Tamworth. Thank you for that, mate. Much appreciated. Daniela, I think it's difficult to pick up players without the carrot of European football. There is that. And we know Harvey Elliott kept talking about wanting to go to a bigger club. Neil, it's at a guess. I think when we go in Europe, see, if we get into, big if, but if we get into Europe next season, do we start buying big players again? Or do we say on your bike, we're going to get players that want to play for the club? I'd be inclined to go, no, yeah, what? You only want to come to us now that we're in Europe when we were begging you to come to us last year? Forget about it, is what I'd say. What do you say? Neil, at a guess, I think the board are more interested in taking money out. That's why the accountants can be worth their weight in gold. Well, when I asked more about these loans, up to £200 million, I was then told, no, there's the capacity to take up to 200 million, the two loans, 150 from Barclays and the other one from that fund or whatever. There's the capacity to take up to that amount of money, but I've been told that we didn't take all of that 200 million. Well, tell us that clearly in the first place. And when we get to the transfers, maybe we know why we've taken out. We've probably taken out enough money to have covered the transfer fees that we paid. Paul, glad we've cleared some of the deadwood. If Wilson and Fulcrook can stay fit, they can share the 90 minutes. I expect Skulls, Earthy Potts will get some game time once the AFCON starts. Mate, I completely forgot about that. You absolutely spot on there. You are. Still, you do not know Igor does not use his head. Slow, can't pass, one of the best blockers of the ball. You do not know Igor. He doesn't use his head. He's slow. He can't pass, and he's one of the best blockers. Oh. Hammerette, Potter surely can't even think about reverting to the back three. The only change I would like to see is Wilson starting over Fulcrook. Oh, so you want James Ward-Prowse to carry on playing, Hammerette? There you are, Hammerette. She's an advocate of James Ward-Prowse because she wants to see him start. Ibrahim, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Loan with an obligation to buy next season is also option after the deadline. For who? Are you talking about Alvarez? Loan with obligation to buy next season, also an option after the deadline. Who do you mean? I don't know who you. I think you're talking about Alvarez, but I don't know. Who else we got? Toha. I've got the popcorn ready for the Lions versus Pack. Chris Towley. Good evening, mate. Mavropanos is one of our own. He is. Good evening to you, Chris. Well, I think Dinos played well. You know, I mean, from all the accounts I'm getting, I wasn't there, but from what I'm told, Dinos apparently played really well. There you go. And I did say, I think we need him. He's the only centre-back we've got that can head the ball. Leon. Evening, mate. I hope you're well. Very well, mate. I hope you are too. Neil, you need to find a blast freezer to stand in then Frog. I don't know what he's talking about, but you crack on. Asking accountants to cook the books is risky business, Ibrahim. It is. You can't cook the books, you know. And like I said, you know, when I asked a bit more about these loans, apparently we didn't take out the whole 200 million. Frog, be positive still. Liverpool won the league last season without buying a carrot. Slightly better run club, to be fair. They are. But they also find ways of spending £450 million in one transfer window. Charles, are we fans being harsh on Fulcrook for having not so good a game and Wilson showed up? Well, it means there's competition. And with Wilson scoring and Fulcrook not, then, you know, Fulcrook may have to win his place back now. That's what having a squad is all about. Harry, buying butt plugs and paying with GIMP masks. I do not know where you're going with this, Harry, but enjoy. Gassa. Mavropanos didn't give Woods a chance. He was superb. Good. I'm really pleased that I'm hearing that. Look at that. Gaz Mavropanos was the nuts. Montana. All of a sudden, all news outlets reporting on net spend. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that later on as well. Magassa will start instead of James Ward-Prowse. I don't know. Let's hope so. Right. Let's go into the match review, and then I'm going to do transfers. Right, so the match review. Now, when I saw the starting lineup whilst I was sunning myself over in Turkey, I was a bit surprised with one or two players being lined up. First of all, I was a little bit surprised at Aaron Wan-Bissaka losing his place. And then I thought to myself, well, you know what? Maybe that it's the right thing to have done because Wan-Bissaka didn't have that good a game in the previous game, and he was culpable, responsible for a couple of the goals that were scored. So I guess, in essence, it kind of made sense for Wan-Bissaka. I've lost all my notes, haven't I? Where have my notes gone? Oh, well, never mind. I'm going to have to wing it from here on in. Damn it, I've lost all my... Anyway, it made sense for Wan-Bissaka to be dropped, and Kyle Walker-Peters came in. And when I think about it, Kyle Walker-Peters probably had a very, very good game. There they are. You're going to have to excuse me for a minute. I'm going to get these back up. There we are. I'm saved. Because if I don't have my notes in front of me, I'll start flapping, as you've just probably noticed, and then I'll sound like an amateur. which I already am. So Carl Walker-Peters coming in, it actually did make sense. So that was fine. And then I'm really, really pleased that uh, 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 the manager, Potter, I'm really pleased that Potter actually gave a debut to Fernandez. I kind of thought that once we signed Fernandez, that he'll probably start on the bench and he will go with a Rodriguez and a Ward-Prowse and a Souček midfield. But I'm really, really pleased that he decided to give Fernandez an immediate debut. So that was good. I think that was really pleasing. Now, Magassa was ineligible, so he couldn't be played and he couldn't be named on the bench either. But wasn't it a massive bonus that we had Crescencio Somerville back? Absolutely massive bonus. And from what people have been saying to me is that he was the player that changed the game, the course of the game. He's got pace in abundance. He's probably one of the few players that we've got in the squad that does have pace in abundance. And he had a hand in all 3 goals. He set up Bowen for the first goal. He won the penalty for the second goal. And he laid on the ball quickly to Diouf to get the ball over into the box for Callum Wilson to score as well. So really, really pleasing. Not only, as I said, did we see some changes in terms of the change in the formation. He went with 4 at the back. Now, I do wonder whether losing a Gerd who refused to travel made Potter's decision on going with 4 at the back, or whether Potter was going to do that anyway. I mean, he was brave. He dropped to Debo, who's been all right, but not great over the past few weeks. He brought Mavropanos back in. That was another brave move. Kilman, to partner Kilman. And overall, I think the lineup, it meant Bowen was a little bit wider rather than sitting behind Fulkrug. And I think it worked. I think the 4 at the back absolutely worked. And this is the question that you're all asking now. Is he going to revert to a back 3 when we play Spurs, or is he going to keep a 4? I'd like to think that he will keep a 4, because I think now we've got the players in place to be able to play a 4 at the back and have that extra midfielder like we did at the weekend against Forest really will help. And of course, when you got players like Fernandez, who's going to run and run and run throughout the whole game, you know that you're going to have, you've got more legs in the middle of the park, and I'm really pleased. And as people have been saying, Magassa, he'll be ready to start as well. So we've got options now, and we've got youth in that central midfield, which means that the likes of this player will mean that he's got that freedom now, hasn't he? Paqueta can sort of like do his little flicks and stuff like that because he's got players like Fernandez backing him. If you remember, when we've had the flair players in the middle of the park, like Payet, you've always had another player who's kind of supported to allow those players to be the flair players. I think now, since Declan Rice has left, we haven't had that player. With Fernandez coming, with Magassa coming in as well, it will allow Paqueta to actually be a little bit more, creative, give or take. Now, the news on Paqueta that I said, you may have already known this, but he's been fined a massive fine. He's expected to escape a ban for misconduct charges for failing to provide information to the FA. This is all about his phone, of course. But the West Ham United midfielder has been cleared of spot fixing, but he's been accused, where he was accused of getting deliberately booked. And the 2 lesser charges against him, failing to answer questions and provide information to the FA's investigation, were found to be proven. It is understood that the written reasons regarding liability, he's been fined £150,000 after 2 years. And now we've got an end to that, haven't we? So there you are. Paqueta has been fined £150,000 because he didn't provide the phone that he already provided the first time to the FA, because he said he gotten rid of it, he bought a new one. So there's your news. Anyway, back to this. I think now with the squad that we've got, Paqueta is going to be, is going to be given that bit more. He's a frustrating as I said there. He's a frustrating maestro. When he loses the ball, he can put us in trouble. But now I'm expecting him, if we stick with a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, I'm expecting him to play maybe a little further forward and not have to worry about dropping too deep to pick the ball up, because we'll have the likes of Magassa and Ward-Prowse and other players that can fill in. So I'm pleased for him in the way that he played the game. And of course, the way he held, the phone and threw it away and then he, grabbed the badge and all that. Great. Look, he'll be gone next summer, but let's make the most of him now. I'm also pleased with Irving, who came on, who I think also had a really good cameo role. I think I'm kind of glad that we didn't get rid of Irving in the transfer window, because I think when I look at the players that we've got left over, I think Irving is the sort of player that he can come on and do the 10, 15, 20 minutes and do the dirty work. Apparently, when he came on, all he did was pass the ball forward all the time, and that's what we need. So the game, really pleased. We're off the mark now. We've got 3 points. We need to press on from that. We've got Spurs coming up in a couple of weeks' time. I don't want to change the formation. I'd much rather play 4 at the back and fill out that midfield and stifle them in midfield. But I want to get a bastard out on the left. Diouf. Now, Igor can also play left back, and he's done that before. I wouldn't mind Igor playing left back against Kudus in 2 weeks' time. So have, keep the back 4, either Walker-Peters or Wan-Bissaka on the right, Mavropanos and Kilman in the middle, and then put Igor on the left as a left back. And just all he has to do is snuff out Kudus. I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy to drop Diouf to allow Igor to play against Kudus in just under 2 weeks' time. What do you think of that? Maybe right thing to do, wrong thing to do? I don't know. Now, let's go back to your chat, because the next thing I'm going to talk about is the transfers and what I think of the transfer window. Michael, Paqueta celebration said it all. Don't listen to the ITK rumours. That was passion for the fans who have supported him. Absolutely agree. Mark, Wilson stealing that goal of the season moment for Bowen could only happen to us. Good to see that they laughed about it. Bowen wasn't laughing. He knew he was going to score. But he had to just go fair. All right, mate. Daniela, come on, Liverpool. Come on, Liverpool as a regular Champions League football for the last 30 years. Yeah, but I still don't like him. Usual. Agerd was a miserable git. I'm glad he's gone. Mark, I think we somehow make top 6. I love it. I mean, honestly, if we build on what we've just... What a shame. We win a game, we go into an international break. That's typical West Ham as well. International breaks just don't work for us, which doesn't bode well given that we've got Spurs next. Darren, only 2 that didn't have a good game was Fulkrug and Ward-Prowse. Daniela, Wan-Bissaka has been poor this season. That's what happens when you win Hammer of the Year. Ibrahim, positive net spend while bringing down the average age of the squad is good business. The most frustrating thing is letting Alvarez go when he can be an option at the back and in the middle. David, how are we supposed to compete with top teams when we're restricted by PSR? We've all got restrictions, but clubs do. Chelsea find ways of circumnavigating it. I believe that just because Liverpool didn't spend any money last season, I think they bought 1 player last summer, and then they've sold about 200 million odd pounds worth of players this summer in order to spend the 450 million. It's fucking madness, really. Hammer it. Absolutely love that performance. Expecting a spanking away to Forest. What a surprise. Somerville was class. Gary, well, I also assume the fact that Walker-Peters and Fernandez have played together before. Yeah, of course they have. Carl Walker-Peters, Montana, really impressed. I think he's a good player. I said it when we got him. I think he'll be a solid addition, and don't turn your noses up at a free signing. Sometimes free signings are good signings. Good. I like competition. If you play bad, then you get dropped. Trudge, absolutely. Neil, people being harsh on Rugvak. He was on when our game was about containment only. Wilson had the benefit of the players around actually going forward with pace and attack. Fair comment. That's fair comment. Trudge, only thing Is Marshall scored pre-season, deserve more chances, along with Fearon using that philosophy? Yeah, Gaza. I don't think we're going to see a. I'm going to get to transfers in a minute, and I'm going to get to talking about the squad too. So bear with me. Gaza. Wan-Bissaka has been poor, but he's not played in a back four. Maybe he would be better than in a back five. Yeah, that's a fair comment as well. Harry, 58 likes, 200. Look, 229 people watching. Please do hit the like button. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated, Harry. Please do hit the like button. Please become a subscriber. And if you're feeling generous, please also become a member of the channel. I'm going to come up with some news in a few weeks' time. I'm just waiting on confirmation of something. I'm going to come up with some news about me in a few weeks' time and to explain why I'm pushing the membership thing. It all makes sense and it all work out in the wash. Paul, shame we didn't manage to sign a Dutch centre-back, Oosterwolde. He looked decent alongside, also like Omega. We came in late for him and we were interested in him last summer as well. Darren, Jimmy is massive everywhere he goes. Montana, Stel, just imagine one player completely transformed our midfield. Now start Souček in place of Ward-Prowse and we shall cook. Hamret, shame as 3-0 up would have been good to give Magassa some minutes. He wasn't eligible. 3 and 7 minutes is mental for us. Montana, we should have won by at least 5. Spursy will pay for their sins of the rent, boys. James, all this talk of wearing this PVC and rubber won't put boil on a ball on your dicker. Michael, Kilman played better in a back four with Dinos. Isn't that interesting? Because I've always said Kilman's better in a back three in the middle. And there you go. He proved me wrong. Darren, Paqueta celebrating the way he did was quality. Canning Town Len has done a painting of him. Can buy a copy from Hammer's Chat store. Nil could have been 4-0 if Wilson hadn't tackled Bone on his attempt for goal of the season. It's true. I saw the highlights and I went, Callum Wilson, you greedy git, because that probably would have been another 10 grand for Wilson if he'd scored another goal, something like that. Michael, Magassa still wasn't signed in time to play against Forest. Ibrahim Fernandez is pretty technically gifted as well. Montana, Villa think they can nick our Pac-Man? Absolutely not. Hamret, Michael, yeah, I know he wasn't. That's why it was a shame, as wouldn't have had too much pressure on him to get a few minutes. You're contradicting yourself, but we get it, Hammer it. Espen, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. So maybe Agurd's antics help Potter stumble into the winning formula. Keep on taking advantage of that then. Absolutely. John, I thought Bowen played like a true Capitano. Lost it with Wilson when he got tackled by him. Daniela, less than 2 weeks' wages, peanuts for footballers in today's game. That's the 150. That's 1 week's wage. That's 1 week's wage. Paqueta's fine. 150 grand. That's 1 week's wage for Paqueta. Aaron, West Ham won the transfer window just by keeping hold of Pac-Man. Good evening, Sean. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Gaza, I've changed my phone loads, did not get fined £150,000. Kimbo, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. The FA are finding him guilty of something, so he can't sue them. Yeah, we said that before. I don't disagree with that. Gary, I'm glad we kept Irving when he comes on. He doesn't typically do much wrong. Yeah, it's very true. I like him. He's a good squad player. There you go. Amaret says the same thing. A good squad player. Montana, Villa paid the bin dippers 35 million plus buyback. What robbery? Well, they were desperate. So there you go. Sean Irving, the GOAT. Ibrahim, Igor is definitely more defensive minded than Juve. I can see Igor starting in the game against Spurs. I really, really can. Usual. I think we should start GoFundMe for Paqueta to pay that fine. I'll put my address up shortly. Trust me, he can afford it. Johnny, Rick, worst idea that Stel what for Igor to go left back? I don't know, I don't know if it's such a bad idea. Hammer it. Dave pocketed Saka, didn't he? Kudus would be a piece of piss. Gaza, no Stel Diouf needs to play for his crosses. Okay, yeah, no, I'm glad you disagree. John, good evening, mate. We need to double up on Kudus. Why? He's not that good. That's why we sold him. Michael, it's a shame that we threw away the 2 games of the season, the first 2 games due to poor business. Steve, good evening, mate. Shit, didn't know you. Tuesday night. You're not meant to know, so don't worry, mate. Let's hope we. So we'll go to the start. Let's hope we don't see five at the back who can head a ball. Leon would keep Diouf on minutes he plays and gets more confidence the more minutes he plays. Montana, we should also be the first team to win at the new Everton Stadium. I'm going. We better win. Otherwise, if we don't win, then I'm the bad omen because I missed the Nottingham Forest game and we won that. Frog, Spuds at home had better be more lively than last season. People still in a coma from that one. Well, it's gonna be lively. You know it is. You know it's got so many reasons for it to be. Kudus is one good reason, Gary, the fact that Irving brought in his own trainer to try and help him get to Premier League standards made me really respect him. I didn't know that. Well done to him. David, has anyone heard about Grimsby being fined 20 grand for fielding an illegal player? Do you remember West Ham did the same? We had to replay the game. Who's that bloke, Mark Gold something on Twitter, saying that they should replay the game. My God, leave off. Grimsby, pay the fine, have done with it, move on. Man, you want to get the game replayed. Sod that. But yeah, I agree. We did have to replay our game. Our times have changed. Neil, with regards to the result on Sunday, feet ground firmly planted. Remember how up folks got after Loppy and the result against Newcastle? Only time will tell. Very true. Fatakis Kalispera, mate. I hope you're well. Got to enjoy this win. Well, let's hope there are more to come. Hammer, yeah, I love us to beat Moyes at their shining new ground. Souček to score the winner. That would be poetic justice. Michael Wilson was score goals this season. He's on a goal bonus, which is why he nicks everyone else's. Daniela Frog, I think the fans need to start owning the stadium. Get over the move. It's been 10 years now to put the West Ham stamp on it, and forget the rest. We need an atmosphere in 2 weeks' time at that stadium. We need an atmosphere there. Disappointed that Emerson left for under a minute. I don't understand what happened there, Leslie. I really don't. Septic. Potter could have played Todibo if he wanted five at the back. He could have indeed. You're absolutely right. Or maybe he decided, hang on, I've only got one centre back on the bench, so maybe not play the five at the back. James Wilson was only doing his job at the far post. Just one little pass from JB. Yeah, but Bowen had it. He had it at his feet. But anyway, Sean. Leslie, Emerson fee may have been tied in with the Agurd fee, kept deliberately low to try avoid Chelsea's sell-on clause. Now, did he have a sell-on clause for Chelsea? Wow. You know what? I didn't think of that. And that could be a good reason for it. Yeah. Wow. Exactly. Malkster. Daniela, frog in the wall. Yeah, but come on, the fans can do more. And we shall do more, especially when we play Spurs in a couple of weeks' time. Michael, Grimsby was a paperwork issue. They missed deadline by 1 minute. Is that what they got fined for? I thought they got fined for playing an eligible player. Trodge, so Emerson and the Gerd was only worth 19 million. Yeah, I mean, look, it was low. I'm going to get onto transfers in a minute. Bear with me. Josh, Wan-Bissaka is better in a back four when he can get forward and overlap in Bowen. He really thrived carrying the ball. To be fair, I did like how Walker-Peters played. Options are great, so no complaints. Gaza, JWP was Moyes' first choice, so Brady said Brady, but it's not come in for him, only Souček. That tells you something. Sure bloody well does, doesn't it? He lumbered up, with the greatest of respect, Mr. Ward-Prowse, he's lumbered us with a £30 million player who we can't sell for love not on 115 grand a week. Montana, Somerville will tear Spurs up, a new one. They won't believe their eyes. Good evening, Mr. Levin. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Montana, Walker-Peters starts until he's dropped his form, until he drops in his form. Same as Wilson and Fulcrook. Ibrahim, Wan-Bissaka, 100% a fullback and not a lot a wingback. I disagree with that because you saw last season how well he did as a wingback. I think he can play both roles, but maybe he's better as a right back than a wingback. We don't want someone in the team who refuses to play. Good riddance. Absolutely right. Let's talk about transfers, shall we? And a review of the transfer window. So, here are some of the facts. Overall, We allowed 11 players to leave, plus the 2 who were on loan. So 13 players in total, you could argue, left the club at the end of the last season. That, of course, included Kudus, Agurd, Alvarez, Emerson, Ings, Soufal, Creswell, Cornet, Zuma, Antonio, Fabianski, and then the 2 lone players, Ferguson and Soler. Now, there were 3 specific things that Graham Potter wanted to do. He wanted to reduce the size of the squad. He wanted to reduce the number of players who were on big wages sitting on the bench, according to him. And he wanted to reduce the average age of the squad. So did he succeed? Well, in terms of reducing the size, absolutely. The total money we've received for all the players going out has been circa, 85, 95 million pounds? And that's only if Fenerbahce actually buy Alvarez for the 19 million that they have an option on. Now, we brought in, as we know, Fernandes, who, bear with me on this. I know you're not going to agree on all of this, but I've got a logic here, so bear with me. We brought in Fernandes, who kind of replaced Kudus. We brought in Todibo because he went from loan to permanent. Diouf replaced Creswell / Emerson. Hermansen replaced Fabianski. Magassa replaced Alvarez. Walker Peters replaced Soufal. Wilson replaced Antonio. And Igor has replaced Agurd. Now, that means we've got Earthy, Marshall, and Potts, who all return from their loan spells. And at this moment in time, as I said earlier in the show, it's looking as if they may not get an awful lot of game time this coming season. The inbound cost of players coming in has been about 130 odd million pounds. There's been a net spend of 45 million, give or take. So we've gained about 90 odd million. We've spent about 140 odd million. So there's been a net spend of about 45 million pounds. Now, here is the team of what we got in our squad right now. And I've paired them up, and now you probably get why I said about Fernandes, replacing Kudus. Because if you look out on the left of our attack, we've got Somerville, and we know Pac-Man can kind of play out, not a wide winger, but that side of attacking midfield. So we've got one player for every position. We've got Hermansen with Areola in goal on the right side. We've got Kyle Walker-Peters and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. On the left side, we've got Diouf, and we've got the young lad. See, my memory is really getting bad. You know who I mean. You can see his photo there. We've got Magassa with James Ward-Prowse, and we've got Irving with Rodriguez, and then kind of that middle attacking role. Skulls is the name I forgot. And that middle attacking role, we've got Souček with Fernandes. And then out wide on the right-hand side, I've already mentioned the left. On the right-hand side, we've got Guilherme and Bowen. And then up front, we've got Fulkrug and Wilson. And then we've got the 3 young players, as well as our third choice keeper in Foderingham. Now, of course, I do accept that we get a couple of injuries, we could start being in trouble. But I guess then also that's where our 3 young players come in. So we get an injury in the middle of the park. You've got Potts in there. You've got Earthy in there. We get an injury out wide. Marshall can play out on the wing, and he can also play, and an injury up front, we can also play up front as well. We're a little bit light. I'm not going to disagree, but this is what Potter wanted. Potter wanted to reduce the size of the squad, and he's done exactly that. Now, what about other things? So we kept being told, we have to abide by, we have to balance the books, we have to abide by PSR, etc. And we've kind of done that. The 45 million pounds that we overspent, I guess that's come from the loan that we borrowed. Now, he did another thing by reducing the number of players of the squad and players on high wages. So the likes of Agurd have gone. He was on about 70, 80 grand a week. Alvarez was on 100. Zuma, who didn't play for us, but he was, he left. He was on 100. Antonio was at about 95, 100. Kudus was on about 85, 90. Emerson was on about 90. Fabianski was on about 90. So, and Ings, £125,000 a week. So he's done that as well. the players that he's brought in are not being paid anywhere near the sort of money that we've been paying all the players that left. What about the average age of the squad? Well, the average age of the players that left, all those players that left, came to the average age of 31 and a half years of age. That included the likes of Ings, 33, Creswell, 35, Antonio, 35, Fabianski, 40, and so on. And the average age of the new players that have come in was 24. If you include the 3 young players who came back on loan, it's down to 23 and a half. So he's done that as well. Let's include the signings of 20-year-old Diouf, 21-year-old Fernandes, 21-year-old Magassa, and so on. So in essence, Potter has achieved the 3 things that he wanted to do: to reduce the size of the squad, to reduce the number of players who are on big money, who would have been sitting on the bench, and he's also reduced the average age of the squad as well. But are the players that we've got in better than the players that have left? Well, let's start with Hermansen. Jury's out on him. Would it have been better to have just kept Fabianski for just one more season? Did we need to go out and get ourselves another goalkeeper? I think not. But I'm going to give Hermansen the benefit of the doubt, but he's work in progress. And at this moment in time, the jury's out on him. So you could argue that perhaps that wasn't, as it seems right now, that wasn't necessarily the best signing to make. Kyle Walker-Peters, solid replacement for Soufal? I would say yes. I say that is a success. And then Igor. Is he more solid than Agurd? This is the question. It's going to be interesting to see how often Igor is used. Many, many fans have said that Agurd was no good for the Premier League, and they're quite relieved and quite glad that Agurd has left. But as some people have sort of alluded to, they're not that impressed that we've got Igor as a replacement. So I reckon that's probably a like for like, give or take. Diouf. I think he's got great potential. Only time will tell whether Diouf is going to end up being better than Creswell and or Emerson. He's got a sweet left foot that, if you remember, when Creswell first came to us, and for most of the time he played for West Ham, Creswell's left foot was like a wand. And Diouf has got a fantastic cross on him. Can he do the wing-back role as good as Emerson did? I think in time he might be. It's a work in progress. Magassa, you're getting great reports from France about his ability, primarily as a central defender, because he's played as a central defender. As a central midfielder, will he be a better replacement to Alvarez? Well, his stats show that he's certainly more disciplined than Alvarez was, so that's a massive advantage. Will he now be able to dislodge James Ward-Prowse from that team? I think in time he will. I think fans expecting it to happen immediately might be a little bit disappointed, but I think in time he will. I think Magassa is going to be a dark horse, and I think when it comes to him replacing Alvarez and then taking over the role of that holding midfielder for James Ward-Prowse in the squad, in the starting lineup, I think he's going to prove to be a good signing. Fernandes, I've said, overpaying, paying more than £30 million was always paying too much. And I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to stick by that. But he's going to have to prove himself as well. He had a great debut against Nottingham Forest. And now I said earlier about replacing Kudus, and many of you are going to go, I don't get you. What are you talking about? Well, in order to balance this side, we didn't need another winger, to be really honest with you. We needed another central midfielder. Kudus was playing on the left side that he didn't want to play in order to accommodate other players to play in the middle. Whereas we now have Somerville back. We've got Diouf who can play the wing back, and other players that can do that. And you can put Paqueta slightly on the left, not as a winger, but on the left side of attacking midfield, which means you've got a player like Fernandes coming in, which is why I think he's a better replacement for Kudus in terms of balancing the side. Balancing the side. If you want to get a comparison in terms of goals scored, then no. compared to Kudus? No. Is he going to get as many goals and assists as Kudus will? Probably not. But then we're going to look to Crescencio Somerville for that, because I think Crescencio Somerville is going to have a fantastic season. He's already made one assist. Well, two if you count the penalty. Does that count? And I think it's Somerville that you will be comparing stats against Kudus to at the end of the season. But in terms of balancing, the reason why I said about him replacing Kudus, Fernandes replacing Kudus, is because he brings a better balance to this side. And then finally, Callum Wilson. Well, we've already talked about him quite a bit. For the contract he's on, I will say he's going to be hungry enough to prove himself to every single West Ham fan, because also when he proves himself, when he scores goals and assists and comes on and plays the way he did against Nottingham Forest, then he's going to be a massive bonus to us. He's hungry, and it's good to see. Will he stay fit? That's the other issue. And is he a better replacement for Antonio? Well, you're going to have a personal opinion on this. I've always said that for me, Antonio should have left West Ham United at least a couple of seasons ago, and we held on to him for far longer than we should have done. So I think he can end up being a better bargain. So overall, I'm not dissatisfied with the transfer window, but I'm not overly happy. Hermansen, he's got to prove himself. I think, fingers crossed, he will. Kyle Walker-Peters, I think, is solid. So there's a bonus there. Igor, I think he'll be more solid than the Gerd. So I'm putting that down as a bonus as well. Diouf has got great potential, and he's already started to show it. So I think that's a plus as well. Magassa, going by all the reports, etc., the scout reports, I think he will end up being our central holding midfielder, with Ward-Prowse being on the bench. So I'm going to put that down as an advantage too. Fernandes the same, and then Wilson the same. So overall, I'm going to give our window about a 7 out of 10. I think it could have been better. Did I think we were going to get more players in? No, I didn't expect to get more players in. Did I think we were going to have a last-minute flurry? No, I didn't expect a last-minute flurry, because, as I've said, one of the things that Potter wanted to do was to reduce the number of players in the squad, which he's done. He's now got a balanced squad, and he's also got the 3 youngsters on the side as well. It's a bit of a gamble. I don't deny that. But looking at that also seems to suggest that maybe Potter won't be able to go with a 3 at the back as often as he may want to. He's only got 4 central defenders. And if one of those central defenders gets injured or suspended or whatever, he's got a massive problem there. Now, he can play Aaron Wan-Bissaka in a back 3 as well, if he really, really wanted to. That is another option. And some people have already said if only we'd have kept Alvarez, he could have been another option too. But when I look at that squad, I think it's balanced. Do I think it's good enough? Good enough depending on what you expect West Ham United to do this season. Do I think we're going to get into Europe? Honestly, no. Would I love us to? Of course. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't love us to get into Europe? But I'm not so sure it will actually happen. I'd love to think it will, but I'm not so sure that it will. But in terms of stabilizing us and then going again next season and then adding even more quality and youth to this squad, then fantastic. We've got a young, vibrant looking squad now. I like now, there are a couple of players in that middle of the park that I'm not sure I want to see much more of. Ward-Prowse, I think I'd rather have him on the bench, as with Rodriguez. But I think they'll get some game time. But you look at 25-year-old Irving, 21-year-old Magassa, 21-year-old Matthias Fernandes. All of a sudden, you're seeing youth. When Guilherme comes back, you got youth. You got Crescencio Somerville. How old is he? 22, 23 years of age? You've got young defenders on the left-hand side. Yes, you've got older players on the right, but that's experience as well. And you've got a couple of younger players in the back line. Tadibo's only, 24, 25? Mavropanos only 26, 27. So all of a sudden, it's looking fresher. Is it the done deal? No, it isn't. Maybe, just maybe, we might look at doing some more business in the January window as well. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But overall, given that there's a balance in this squad now, I'm much happier. And like I said, the only player that maybe I would have kept would have been maybe the goalkeeper. Maybe give Fabianski just one more year, so we could have used that 15, 16 million pounds that we paid for Hermansen towards another player. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Let's see what you guys have got to say. John, I just had £200 at 500 to 1 on West Ham winning the title. Pretty sure I've just lost £200. You should have put a bet on them getting in the top 6 or getting into Europe. Might have been a better bet, mate. Nil. Nope, Daniela, we won a penalty shoot and got forced into a replay, which we lost 2-1. Horrible Villa side. I don't know what game you're talking about. Jack, with all these new signings, very happy, but will our youngsters get a look in? I think I may have just answered that, mate. Hammer it. I screwed up my bet, Bowen and Wilson to score, us to win. However, I put both teams to score. There you go. Who else have we got? Eamon. Been reported we spent 20 million in total. No, 40. I will refuse to believe that we only spent 20 million in total. Ibrahim. To be fair, any sane person would have predicted West Ham to concede. Daniela buying Igor to dump on Liverpool, getting Guehi. Great business. I don't think we did that deliberately, but I feel sorry for Guehi and not getting his dream move. But at the same time, well done to Crystal Palace for holding on to their decent players. And I'm not commiserating with Liverpool one bit. Mark, don't bet against your own team. Hammerette, absolutely. You tell her. Neil, Blunderwoman can't forget Bond, Brooke Bond. Make West Ham great again. Potter better stick to a back four. All tackled. Good evening, mate. I hope you're well. To be honest, we got more players in than I thought Sully would have allowed. If we can play like we did once Somerville came on with a real threat. Plus, I do believe the kids will play. But which kids? But someone mentioned earlier on in the AFCON, when quite a few players go on the AFCON, those kids are going to be useful. Espen, think Potts should be more involved already. I did think that too. I don't disagree with you. But it's now going to be quite difficult for him, isn't it? Leon, was 36 not the same number we had last season? 36, what? Average age or players? Good night to you, John. Thank you for joining, mate. Really much appreciated. Who else we got? Michael. Sullivan has saved 40 million a year and sold 49% to the ladies for 20 mil. There you go. I completely forgot about that. There you go. So therefore, we have only spent 20 mil. Thanks for that reminder. Mark, concentrate on the league, maybe the FA Cup. That's our lot. Well, that's all we've got. That's all we've got now, mate. Josh, I have two mates that genuinely love Ward-Prowse. I do not understand it at all. He sees composure on the ball as a huge benefit to us, but to me, I genuinely don't understand what he offers. Well, he does offer composure, but that's all. You know, he's the sort of player that can keep the ball moving, not necessarily moving forward. That's the other problem. Are we going to get a striker next January? To be honest with you, I doubt it, to be honest, because that will mean we keep forgetting we got Marshall. If we get an injury, that should give Marshall an opportunity to shine. Robert, I think we have options now. I absolutely agree. Leon, our medical team will have to be on top form this season. Leslie, John, that's a sad image planted in my brain. What did John say? I don't know. Mads looks a bit short for a goalkeeper. He's got a good reach, apparently. We better start showing it then. Darren, Hermansen is 25, got plenty of time to get better. Ibrahim, I think Hermansen was nervy, but there's a good keeper in there. Ibrahim again. Creswell and Emerson are in their mid-30s. That has to be noted. Absolutely. Neil. Igor, let's hope we have the makings of a monster. Trudge, Igor described himself as aggressive, and he wasn't a footballer. He would be a boxer. Maybe he'll punch Kudus's lights out on Saturday week. It'd be worth a red card, wouldn't it? Would it? No, it certainly wouldn't be worth the defeat, but I shouldn't go there. That's the dark still. David, we thought Dawson was underwhelming, so let's wait and see on Igor. Absolutely agree. Ibrahim, I don't think we're in for Igor until Agurd. I don't think we were in for Igor until Agurd went on strike. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we weren't in for another defender because we thought that Agurd was going to stay. Agurd has done us a favour. He wasn't that good. Make West Ham great again. Who else we got? All tackled. We now have this squad until January, so it's hard. It's time to get behind them, give them all the chance, including Igor. Absolutely agree. Robert, where do you think we'll finish in the league now? I still think 10th to around 13th. I think I would be really, really pleased if we finish any higher, but I think 10th to 13th. Ibrahim, we'll know how much Fernandes is on once a journo greases his agent's palm for the scoop. Apparently, Fernandez's salary is about 65 grand a week. There you go. Who else have we got? Let's scroll. Do forgive me. I'm scrolling down. I can't put all your comments up, but I will try. Robert, do you think we'll sign a striker in January, as other teams seem to have their strikers? I don't know. I think we won't get very good options in January. So my feeling is no, I don't think we will. Ibrahim, wasn't too long ago, everyone was talking about relegation. Now we're talking about finishing in Europe. Mark, overall, a good window and keeping Paqueta. I think that's one of the biggest wins, isn't it? The fact that we didn't sell Lucas Paqueta, and was there interest? I have no doubt. Aston Villa, after what they did to us with John Duran, I'm so pleased we didn't sell Paqueta to Villa. I really am. I think now Paqueta, look, a good player like Paqueta will only get better when he's got decent players around him to support him. And no disrespect to the squad that we had last season, I'm not so sure that he got that support. And especially when Kudus, you've read the reports, especially when someone like Kudus down tools throughout last season, you could see that anyway, certainly didn't help either. So I think quite possibly with the likes of Magassa, the likes of Irving, the likes of Fernandes, those sorts of players around Paqueta, you're going to see a very different Lucas Paqueta this season. Usual. Glad we never got that balloon sniffer from the Spuds. Bissouma, I'll be honest, I don't think I would have minded him. Septic. Potter played all formations at Brighton. He's not wedded to any formation. Expect tinkering. That's a fair comment. Neil, jury's still out. Don't think we'll get relegated, but about above 10th will be difficult. Yeah, I think 10th to 13th. Somerville was a revelation mark, finally. A left-sided attacker. We'd forgotten all about him, didn't we? Because he's been out for so long. Leon, I have become a bit more optimistic after seeing what we can do and give our young, fast and eager players a chance. You never know. Daniela, Neil, on paper, yes, top 8 might be hard, but with all the factors that can that happen in the season to us and other teams, who knows? Good evening, West Ham Massive. I hope you're well. I'm very well, mate. Was a Gerd going rogue actually a blessing in disguise? Yeah, I agree. I think it was. Septic, people are obsessed with playing the kids. I just want to see the best players. It's a really good point. And you've also got to bear in mind, when you start talking about Potter not playing the kids, you've got to bear in mind that Magassa's 21, Fernandes is 21, Diouf is 20. There's a number of players in that squad now that are very young players. I hate saying this. Does it kind of mean that it's not that he won't play the youth, but does it kind of mean that our youth perhaps are just not on the same level as the youth that we bought in? I love Potts. I think he's earned his stripes. I think he deserves a chance. But with Magassa there now, who will play? Maybe at some point going through the season, you might see a middle two of Potts and Magassa with Fernandes just in front. Imagine that. A 21-year-old, 23 21-year-olds. Potts is 21, or is he 22 now? Imagine that in the middle of the park. That could happen. But maybe, just maybe, our youth, our academy players are not as good as the ones we bought in. I know people don't want to hear that, but that might be a possibility. Trudge, Moyes signed a Gerd. You would have thought that he would be able to pick a good centre-back as he played that position himself. I was so excited about a Gerd coming in. I remember when we signed him, but it didn't work out. Dan, I hope you're well, mate. Happy with the business done, but very worried Guido and Ward-Prowse are still part of the squad. They will be squad players, I think now. I think they'll be just that. They'll be squad players to come on and close the game off when we need it. Michael, West Ham players should wind up Kudus. We know he will lash out, like he did against the Spuds. Let's hope he hits one of those Spurs players again when he's playing against us. James, we're staying up. We're staying up. Glad you weren't singing that still. Glad to learn you weren't singing that. Yeah, I didn't. Don't. Won't. Usual. Still, you have a tremendous amount of holidays. Any chance of sorting out some G for the boys? Hi. GP, I hope you're well, mate. Tommy, how are you, mate? For me, Wilson was solid at Forest. Deserves his chance to prove us all wrong. Absolutely agree. Trudge, some of Irving's flair bound to rub off on Paqueta. The Iron Brew Iniesta. John, Paqueta apparently turned Villa down after a bid was accepted. Even better. Even better. Eamon, what a story would it be for Paqueta to drag us to a Champions League place this season? I know it's a pipe dream, but they do happen. From fear of being banned for life to finishing fifth. Well, let's dream, mate. Why not? Why not? Mark, the FA plan to fine, 150 grand, been told tonight. They should be fined for misconduct in pursuit of a lifetime ban with no evidence of any offence in the first place. But 150 grand apparently, mate. 1 week's wages for Lucas. Michael, foreign youth get a head start in their countries. They also have first team of 10 to 18. That's fair. Usual. It was Sullivan who put that story out about it wasn't. It actually wasn't. I know for a fact it wasn't. And that's the honest truth. For once, it wasn't us that put that story out. That was agent talk. That was people briefing Romano, who said it was a done deal when it wasn't. And that was Aston Villa pushing up in the ante. Honestly, Usual. I mean, I'm not someone who's going to just back the board for the sake of it, but it really wasn't the board that put that story out. Darren, will we lose Magassa when the French under-21s play? I've read he's played for them. It's very possible. I don't know the last time he played for the under-21s. He's only 21, so I'm guessing probably recently. Clive, better late than never, mate. Thank you, mate. I hope you're well, Clive. I hope all is good with you. GP, to Leslie. If I was Potter, I would have signed a striker and told Stewart to ban Stell if clothed from all matches, and told stewards to ban Stell if clothed from. You are not. Leon, a gird come in like a Rolls Royce with no engine. Romano is the usual suspects to stir the crap. Absolutely. You're sticking to it. Sorry, Stel. And that's absolutely fine, mate. Many people have got many different stories as what goes on out there. But I can assure you this really didn't come. The Paqueta story didn't come from the board. Tommy, Wan-Bissaka or Carl Walker-Peters? For me, it's Wan-Bissaka, but Carl looked fresh on the weekend. We were talking about this earlier on. And, people believe, and rightly so, that AWB is better when he plays in a back four. So I think it's good, healthy competition there, to be quite honest with you. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm done. I've caught up. I've done my whole weekly. I've answered a lot of your comments and questions. So I'm really pleased. Only an hour and a half gone. Now, just one more thing. If you would like to become a member of the subscriber of this channel, please do. Costs nothing to subscribe. But if you'd like to become a member, once you subscribe, you've got an option of becoming a member as well. Members get benefits. They get extra little snippet videos, little, snippets. So if you want to become a member, please do as well. Clive, can you explain how the heck we nabbed the lad from Brighton? Because it's kind of a last resort. Ibrahim, the board have made huge blunders and are awful, but let's not start unduly lampooning them. Let's see how it goes. Daniela, I agree, Stel. I don't want Paqueta's story come from us. It doesn't make it didn't make sense, and it really honestly didn't come from us. That's me done for the today. There'll be other shows coming up. Transfer window's finished, but there's loads of stories to tell you all about. So do look out for them. Some pre-recorded stuff. I'll be back with the West Ham Weekly again next week as well. It's International Week. It would be, wouldn't it? But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for getting involved. Really appreciated. And I will see you all very soon.